Look, you're a leader. You're disciplined. You've built businesses, you manage teams, and you know how to excel under pressure. You've put in countless hours learning how to trade. And yet, when your own capital is on the line, something just breaks. That disciplined mind you rely on every single day just vanishes, and you're left staring at the screen, wondering why it just betrayed you.
It's a really frustrating paradox, isn't it? In theory, on paper, you're a brilliant trader. You see the patterns, you know the rules, you've backtested the strategy, but the second you're in the live market, it all just evaporates. That gap, the one between what you know you should do and what you actually do, that is the single biggest thing standing in the way of consistent results. So here's the absolute key. The problem isn't a lack of information. It's got nothing to do with finding another indicator or some better strategy. The problem is your internal operating system, the very architecture inside you that processes risk and uncertainty. Right now, it's running a program that is actively working against your financial goals. So let's really break this internal conflict down. Every single time you approach the market, there are two versions of you competing for control. You've got the strategist who prepares calmly, and then you've got the operator who has to execute under fire. The gap between those two, that's where fortunes are lost. This right here shows the divide perfectly. On the left, that's the trader you are when there's no money on the line. Calm, rational, objective. But on the right, that's what happens when the pressure is on. Anxiety kicks in, you become impulsive, emotional decisions take over. You start breaking your own rules, chasing bad trades, or running away from good ones. You stop being the CEO of your trading account and you become its most volatile employee. Now, because you're a high achiever, your natural instinct is to solve this problem with more work. You think if I just learn more, watch more, prepare more, I can overpower this thing. But this is a trap. You're trying to solve an internal architecture problem by piling on more external information. It just doesn't work. And this leads to all of these flawed solutions, right? We add more indicators, just complicating our charts. We adopt more complex strategies, thinking sophistication is the answer. We put in more screen time, which just leads to burnout. We try to use more willpower, gritting our teeth through trades. Or we just try to ignore that feeling in our gut. All of this is a complete waste of a professional's time because none of it addresses the root cause. This really gets to the core of the issue. Trying to ignore or suppress that feeling of anxiety or fear doesn't make it go away. In fact, it does the exact opposite. By fighting it, you're actually giving it more power, which guarantees it's going to show up with even more force the next time you're in a high-stakes situation. And this brings us to a critical insight. We have to completely reframe how we understand emotion. It is not a weakness. It is not a flaw in your character. It is a mechanical, biological process. It's a system designed for a totally different purpose. And right now, it's hijacking your rational mind. So what is an emotion, really? Well, from a neurobiological perspective, it's pretty simple. It's a biological action potential. Its entire purpose is to coordinate a survival response between you, the organism, and your environment. This isn't some psychological fluff. It's a physical, chemical process designed for one thing, to keep you alive. So, let me be crystal clear. Your logical, analytical mind, the very mind that built your career, isn't failing you. It is being systematically shut down and overridden by a much older, much more powerful survival program. This system was designed to handle a physical threat, like a lion on the savannah, not a potential loss in the S&P 500. It's the right program running in completely the wrong environment. To regain control, you first have to understand the mechanics of this hijack. What feels like a chaotic, instantaneous meltdown is actually a predictable, four-step sequence. And once you can see the sequence, you can intervene. Okay, here are the four components. First comes arousal. Your heart starts racing, your muscles get tense, your breath gets shallow. That's your body's alarm system kicking into gear. Second is the feeling. This is the chemistry, the cortisol and adrenaline that flood your brain and literally change how you perceive information. Third is the motivation. The old survival directive kicks in, pushing you to fight, flee, or freeze. And finally, fourth, are the deep-seated beliefs about your ability to handle uncertainty that triggered this entire cascade in the first place. Now, this is the part that changes everything. The battle isn't lost when you click the mouse. The hijack begins at the very first step, arousal. The moment you feel that physical tension in your body, that is your first and best opportunity to intervene and manage this process before it takes over your decision-making. Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we build an internal architecture that actually thrives in uncertainty? This is where we stop diagnosing the problem and we start engineering the solution. This is the framework for building the mind of a professional operator. Let's be very clear about this. Trying to fight this biological response with sheer willpower is like trying to stop a tidal wave with a bucket. It's totally futile. The only lasting solution is to stop fighting the system and instead re-architect it from the ground up. You have to train your physiology for a new environment. The STOA framework is a two-part engineering process. It's that straightforward. First, you learn to regulate the biology. This involves specific tangible techniques to manage that initial arousal response in your body, which keeps your rational mind online. But that's just defense. To go on offense, you have to re-engineer the beliefs. This is the deep work of finding and rebuilding the core mental models that are triggering that survival response in the first place. And this is the end state we're building. This is the goal. You transition from a survival mind, which is obsessed with outcomes it can't control, to a probability mind. A true operator focuses exclusively on the flawless execution of their process. They manage what they can control, their state, their rules, their execution, and they accept the uncontrollable, the inherent uncertainty of the market. Risk is no longer a personal threat. It's just a statistical opportunity. And you learn to execute with the disciplined confidence of a professional, not the reactive fear of an amateur. Ultimately, it all comes down to this one idea. Your trading account, that equity curve, it's nothing more than a barometer measuring your ability to manage uncertainty. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about your work ethic. It's about the effectiveness of your internal operating system when you're under pressure. Period. If you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're serious. And that's exactly who STOA was built for. Here's the deal. We don't accept everyone. We run on an application-only system because we only work with people who are ready to operate at the next level. So if you want to stop wasting hours chasing noise and instead run a proven, documented process that gets results in less than 90 minutes a day, apply now. There are limited seats, and once they're filled, they're gone for the quarter. Click the link in the description, fill out the short application, and let's see if you're a fit. If you're watching this, my guess is you already know you should.